Hello everybody, Brent B back here with a Super Bowl edition of my game boards. I have to say that the most difficult part about making this particular board was watching the Chiefs and Ravens play in the AFC Championship game. You see, it was very early in the NFL playoffs that I promised my friend Paul this Super Bowl themed game board, and while I have an extensive marble stock with colors for almost every NFL team, I have no purple marbles, and you would not believe how difficult, virtually impossible it is to find purple marbles. And since purple is the main color of the Ravens uniforms, you could say I was sweating just a little bit once they were only one game away from making the Super Bowl. For this project, I'm using birch. It's a beautiful, fairly dense wood that is pretty easy to work with. I thought the lighter color worked very well, contrasting nicely with the colors I used in the stenciling. I must say that using the contact paper saves a lot of stress when painting the marble holes. In addition, I also sprayed the holes with a sealer to lessen the chances of the paint bleeding under the stencil. Since the wood is porous, it naturally acts like a sponge and it wants to draw that paint off to the side, which of course makes a big mess. I'm sanding the sides of this project down for two reasons. One, I of course want the edges to be smooth, but I'm going to be putting an edge detail on this project, and so I want the router bearing to have a nice smooth surface to write on, because any imperfections in the side are going to be transferred to the edge detail, and that's really going to show up. You want nice straight lines. And it's not like you need an edge detail for a project like this, but I think it really adds so much to the aesthetic of it, so I do it every time. For the team logos, I used my Cricut to cut several stencils, which allow me to overlay them for the different team colors in the logos. Just a tip though, if you plan on doing any stencils, several light coats of paint are much better than one heavy coat. You could be tempted to save time by applying a heavy coat, but if you do, you're going to be in agony city. And that's because that paint won't have a chance to dry before it starts to bleed under the stencil. It gets sucked under there, and it makes an awful big mess, which is very difficult to fix. And just a cautionary note, as you're about to see, whenever you're going to use complicated stencils like this, you really got to pay close attention, because there was one part of the stencil that I forgot to peel off, and so I had to go back and fix it. all in all, I have to say that despite the challenges associated with making this particular board, it was so much fun and it was very satisfying, and it makes me feel good to make this for a friend of mine. So hopefully you enjoy the presentation and it inspires you to take up crafting.